Did you know that the Guggenheim Museum, currently being built in Abu Dhabi, is going to be the biggest of its kind? It's also expected to cost a whopping $1 billion, so we can expect nothing short of a masterpiece. But how long's left before this mega museum gets finished, and where are they now with its construction? Well, there's only one way to find out, and you bet it's sticking around to the end. The Abu Dhabi Guggenheim Museum is a project that's still in the works, but its conception happened a long time ago. Specifically, the plan for this museum was birthed way back in July '06 when the city of Abu Dhabi signed a groundbreaking deal with the Solomon Guggenheim Foundation. World-renowned architect Frank Gehry was hired to handle the museum's complicated design, and by the looks of things, the museum is set to redefine the cultural landscape in Abu Dhabi. The museum is being built on the Saadiyat Island, which already boasts being one of the most culturally active areas in Abu Dhabi, as it's home to many world-class institutions such as the Zayed National Museum and the Louvre Abu Dhabi. As I mentioned earlier, the Guggenheim Abu Dhabi was designed by none other than Frank Gehry, and it is expected to be a major landmark in building technology. To his credit, Gehry has successfully designed several buildings across the globe, including Walt Disney's Concert Hall, the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, and Gehry's vision for the Guggenheim Abu Dhabi is a perfect mix of aesthetics, functionality, and cultural relevance. As for its size, the museum will take up as much as 320,000 square feet or 30,000 square meters. Out of this massive chunk of landmass, 130,000 feet will be strictly used for exhibition space. This makes Guggenheim Abu Dhabi not just one of the newest Guggenheim museums, but the biggest of them all. The design of Guggenheim Abu Dhabi features Gehry's trademark model, which is characterized by nonlinear shapes and fragmented forms. Location-wise, the museum will boast an elegant and functional surrounding, as it's flanked on three sides by the Persian Gulf. This will act as a natural barrier that guards the island's northern beaches. Frank Gehry's overall design is inspired by Middle East architecture and features wind towers and covered courtyards. This design is perfect for the museum as it offers natural ventilation in the desert environment. Gehry's design also features several vertical and horizontal galleries that are linked by catwalks and a four-story structure stacked with galleries that offers space to exhibit large-scale contemporary art installations. For the building itself, it's built with several contemporary materials like steel, stone, and glass, and it combines modern-day looks with traditional architecture. The building also takes advantage of the natural light, and this can be credited to the lighting system built by l'Observatoire International, which will allow artwork to be displayed under very good conditions without taking a toll on the building's energy. This ongoing construction of Guggenheim Museum in Abu Dhabi might be in full swing, but it's faced its fair share of challenges and delays along the way. After plans for the museum were announced in '06, it wasn't until 2011 that groundbreaking began. Work got halted not long after, but things happened again, and it was expected that the museum would open by 2013. But the museum's opening date was postponed several times. Dates got shifted to 2015, then later to 2017, and now the most recent update is that the Guggenheim will finally open in 2025. It's worth mentioning that these delays were not intentional, as there were many factors that caused the multiple postponements. One of the first causes of delay had to do with approving construction plans and contracts. This can be expected for a project like this, being that factors like cost and cultural implications need to be considered. Another reason for delay in finishing the museum earlier than planned is the challenges associated with finding the right building materials and labor disputes. To make things more complex, Frank Gehry's design for the museum is very complicated and also contributed to the overstretched timeline. Good news is that we now have a realistic date set for the opening of this historic piece of architecture, and art lovers around the world cannot wait to experience it firsthand. Besides being an architectural masterpiece, the Guggenheim Museum in Abu Dhabi is being built as part of a much greater cultural initiative that aims to transform the city into a major hub for international arts. Saadiyat Island, the place where the museum is located, already boasts of the magnificent Louvre Abu Dhabi, which opened in 2017. The island's also home to Zayed National Museum, a performing arts center, and a host of other culturally relevant institutions. These establishments will no doubt boost Saadiyat Island's appeal and reputation as a major destination for arts and culture. And considering Abu Dhabi is also home to several universities, art pavilions, and other museums, it's obvious that the idea to build the largest Guggenheim museum in the city was intended to draw the attention of international tourists and position the city as a global cultural destination. With this vision in mind, it's planned that the Guggenheim Abu Dhabi will have various art collections from diverse backgrounds, including North Africa, West Asia, and South Asia. By focusing on artworks from these specific regions, Guggenheim Abu Dhabi will be differentiated from already existing Guggenheim institutions and will offer visitors a unique look into contemporary art from regions that are often overlooked in the world of art. Without a doubt, the Guggenheim Abu Dhabi will attract millions of tourists on an annual basis, but this raises the question of whether the culture and heritage of the city, the country, and the greater Islamic nation will be preserved as millions of foreigners troop in. To address these concerns, the Guggenheim Foundation has assured that the museum's collections will respect the cultural and national heritage of Abu Dhabi and the religion of Islam. The foundation also acknowledges the relevance of balancing contemporary art with conservative cultural values and has made it clear that the museum is only being open to promote cultural exchange, not cultural confrontation. The curators of the Guggenheim Abu Dhabi have been collecting art since as far back as 2009. And not just any art, as they're focused on art that depicts the diverse cultural landscape of Abu Dhabi. In 2014, the museum gave a preview of its collection. The event was appropriately called Seeing Through Light, selections from the Guggenheim Abu Dhabi collection, and it featured art from creators from all over the WANA regions. To further ensure that Abu Dhabi cultural heritage is preserved and respected, the museum is to include a Center for Contemporary Arab, Middle Eastern, and Islamic Culture. In this center, there will also be a conservation laboratory as well as educational and research spaces. The Guggenheim Abu Dhabi will be a standout establishment as it plans to integrate both art and technology into its overall experience. To this effect, the museum will feature a center that's meant strictly for exploring how art and technology can interact and influence one another. In this center, artists will be provided with various means by which they can experiment with modern media and technologies that can push beyond the boundaries of contemporary art. To add to that, Guggenheim's Art and Technology Center will also have state-of-the-art conservation facilities and research spaces for the purpose of preserving artwork for future generations to come. The museum will also be built with a separate facility strictly meant for kids' education, giving children the opportunity to engage with contemporary art in more interactive and innovative ways. As far as significant investments towards promoting culture and tourism by the UAE is concerned, Guggenheim Abu Dhabi is right up the list. The completion of the museum is estimated to cost around $1 billion in total, which will make it one of the most expensive cultural projects in the country. Making such a huge investment clearly shows how committed the UAE is to becoming a powerhouse in global cultural exchange. Guggenheim Abu Dhabi is expected to attract millions of tourists annually, which will contribute significantly to the region's tourism industry and improve the local economy. The museum is also expected to create a wide range of opportunities, not just for cultural workers, but for curators and artists alike, which will in turn be beneficial to both the local and international community. Unfortunately, even with all the positives associated with the opening of Guggenheim Abu Dhabi, its construction has faced its fair share of controversy. There have been several reports of worker abuse as well as complaints of poor labor conditions on Saadiyat Island. In fact, more than 130 international artists have clamored for the boycott of the museum due to the alleged mistreatment of migrant workers on the construction site. Human rights groups have also reported cases of wages being withheld, hazardous working conditions, and immigrant workers' passports getting seized. These groups have also accused the government of the UAE of being nonchalant when it comes to enforcing laws that protect laborers. However, the Guggenheim Foundation and the Abu Dhabi Tourism Development and Investment Company have responded to these concerns and allegations by being proactive. One of these proactive steps includes the use of independent observers to monitor and ensure workers' rights are adhered to. Even Frank Gehry, the man who designed the Guggenheim Museum, has come out to speak on the issue. He called for an improvement on the living standards of workers and the abolition of recruitment fees that labor agents force the workers to pay. As of now, the most recent update on the Guggenheim Abu Dhabi is that the museum is still scheduled to open in 2025. This is according to both the Guggenheim Foundation as well as the B6 Group subsidiaries, Six Construction and Trojan Contracting. If the 2025 opening date is met, then it'll signal the final lap in nearly 20 years of planning and construction. But regardless of whether the 2025 opening date remains a reality, the fact is that the museum's construction is almost complete and it won't be much longer before it becomes a reality. When it does, it'll be a major win for Abu Dhabi, as the city will now establish itself as a major hub for global arts, thanks to its revolutionary design, diverse art collection, and of course, its commitment to cultural exchange. Without a doubt, the Guggenheim Museum will be a major landmark for the region. The completion of the Guggenheim Museum in Abu Dhabi shows the power of a region's commitment to art and modern-day architecture to promote an exchange of diverse cultures. Regardless of the setbacks and controversies surrounding the project, the Guggenheim Museum is almost a reality and will push the city of Abu Dhabi to the level of becoming one of the world's most prominent tourist destinations. That being said, head to the comments below and tell us what you think of the Guggenheim Abu Dhabi, the largest Guggenheim establishment in the Foundation's history. We're committed to releasing 2 videos a week. Like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more visionary builds.